Failures, setbacks, struggles, pain, sorrows are all part of life. Whenever we go through failures, struggles, setbacks, we get very melancholic, we get very depressed, we get very dejected, we get very woebegone. But remember, whenever we go through struggles, whenever we go through dilemmas, predicaments, whenever we go through pain, whenever we go through failures, always remember, God has a very bigger plan for us. He's trying to give us something bigger that we have not even conceived in our life. Today, I would like to share a very succinct story about APJ Abdul Kalam. I'm sure most of you are acquainted with his name. Remember this statement that your faith in God is always bigger than your adversities. Faith in God, your God is always bigger than your struggles, your pain, your sorrows. Who created these struggles is God Himself. So he has some better plan for you. When APJ Abdul Kalam was in his teenage years, he aspired to become an Air Force pilot, but he did not have enough food. He did not have money for his education. His family came from extreme poverty, from extreme impoverishment, from extreme poverty. In this nowadays, we have seen that people like APJ Abdul Kalam. We have seen numerous people going through all these struggles. APJ Abdul Kalam, he did not have money to pay for his education. His sisters used to sell her bangles and pay for Abdul Kalam's college and high school fees. Not only that, his families did not earn that much money. He did not have enough food to feed himself in the evening or in the afternoon. He was not sure. He was not acquainted what would he eat for the next meal. That was the level of poverty that he had to go through. But he always aspired to become an Air Force pilot. So once he went to Dehradun, a city in Uttarakhand, to give an exam for his Air Force. There were 25 applicants, and out of that, only 8 applicants were to be selected. But unfortunately, distressingly, disastrously, out of those 25 applicants, Abdul Kalam ranked 9 in his position. Abdul Kalam was supposed to come in the first 8 positions, but unfortunately and distressingly and disastrously, he came in the 9th position. All of his dreams were shattered. All of his dreams became woebegone. He became extremely depressed, melancholic, and at this stage, he decided to commit suicide in his life. So from Dehradun, Abdul Kalam goes to Rishikesh, a city close to Dehradun and only an hour away from there. And he goes on the tops of the hills and is almost ready to commit suicide. But one very aspiring saint, very pious saint, very sacred saint, whose name was Swami Shivanji, saw this kid almost trying to commit suicide. Swamiji ran and tried to stop Abdul Kalam. Swamiji asked him, "What is your name? Why are you trying to commit suicide?" Swamiji said, "Why don't you come to my ashram?" Abdul Kalam was extremely hungry. Swamiji took him to his ashram. Swamiji fed him with delicious and sumptuous meal. And after that, Swamiji said, "Why don't you take a rest? Tomorrow we'll discuss about your matter." Abdul Kalam could not sleep for the entire of his night. The next morning, he was very relentless. He was very melancholic. He was very dejected. So he approached Swamiji and told Swami Shivanji that it seems as if you are very intimate with God, you are very close to God. So I have one dilemma, one perplexion in my mind. He described and delineated the entire situation to Swami Shivanji. He told him how his sister paid off, sold all of her bangles, how his family do not have even meals for lunch or dinner, and how he aspired to become an Air Force pilot. But unfortunately and disastrously, all of his dreams were shattered for just one position. Not only that, Abdul Kalam also claimed that students who did not work as hard as Abdul Kalam, they came in the first 8 position. And Abdul Kalam, who has been sincerely, very efficaciously working hard, he came at the 9th position. So he had the biggest question: why did God select me for this? Why did God give me failure despite consistently and perennially working hard? Why did I embrace failure in my life? And that is the reason I am willing to commit suicide. Answer that Swami Shivanji gave to APJ Abdul Kalam, we all should inscribe and engrave in our hearts. You'll be all flabbergasted to hearken the answer that Swami Shivanji gave to APJ Abdul Kalam. Swamiji told him that your failure is not a failure. Your failure is part of success. Remember, Abdul, God is willing to give you a very paramount, very significant amount of success in your life. That is the reason He embraced you with this situation. And listening to these words, Abdul Kalam said, Swamiji, you are just telling me to inspire me or so that I don't get melancholic or depressed or dejected. Swamiji said, I'm not telling you to make you happy, to make you cheerful, or to to stop you from committing suicide. Remember, after decades, you will be at the topmost position in this country. Years passed, decades passed, and one day, Abdul Kalam became the president of Bharat. He became the president of India, the country with the largest democracy in this entire universe. When he became the president of India, he recalled the words of Swami Shivanji. Because now when he became the president of the India, the leaders, the head of the Air Force, Navy Force and Army all salute. And Abdul Kalam realized that years before, decades before, Swami Shivanandi told me that have sound, stalwart faith in God, He has something bigger planned for you. He has something paramount for you. He has something significant for you. And Abdul Kalam could now realize the words of Swami Shivanandi. Remember, we all have to go through the failures in our life. We all have to go through the struggles, predicaments, dilemmas. We all have to go through the pains of this life. But remember, if you are not embracing success in your life, despite consistently, perennially, persistently working hard, remember, do not give up your efforts. God has some bigger plan for you. He will definitely make you embrace success. Always remember that faith in God includes faith in His timings. Faith does not mean that God will not give you any storms in your life, but faith means that God will definitely support you to get through the storms in your life. Always remember, when you go through the adversity, struggles, predicaments in your life, God is always bigger than your struggles. God is always bigger than your problems. God is always bigger than your pain. God is always bigger than your confusions, predicaments, and dilemmas. Have sound, stalwart, unwavering, and unshattering faith in God. You will definitely embrace success in your life. You will definitely make history in your life. The story of APJ Abdul Kalam, whenever I say and whenever I listen to this story, I'm always enthralled with sound and stalwart faith in God. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Swaminarayan.